know. Go.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy DJ Strike It Up. We're back in the sneaker vault, and that means I get to pull out another pair from my collection to share with you guys. Now, the pair that I selected for today is the Air Jordan 1 Chicago colorway. Now, the reason I pulled this shoe out and decided to share it is because everybody for the past 2 weeks, we've all been watching The Last Dance on ESPN. Now, everybody in America is watching this, and I'm sure around the world, people are watching this documentary. This is a documentary where the Bulls are on their way to winning their 6th title. And what I love about this documentary is that it didn't just focus on the 6th championship. They also were showing the beginnings of the Bulls as an organization, how life was before Jordan, how life changed once they drafted Jordan, and just how everything evolved from that point on. So we get to see a full spectrum, not just Jordan, but we also see the teammates, coaches, general manager, the whole thing. Awesome. For me, it's kind of a flashback in time. I get to travel in time because I grew up during that era. I got to see all of that. And to me, that's just my childhood. That's just, to me, that's my youth. Now, see that flag in the back? When the Bulls won their 6th title, that flag was with me and my brother. We were there, 5th row at the Bulls celebration. So I lived it. I was there, and it's an awesome treat, especially during this time where a lot of us are still kind of locked up, in our homes, not really wanting to go out because of the whole COVID-19 situation that's going on. But back to the shoes. So if you were to ask me what's the first thought that comes into my head when I see this shoe, the first thought that comes into my head is beginnings. The reason I say beginnings is because, well, my mother was the one who bought me my first pair of Jordans, and that's it right there. That's the pair that she bought me as a little kid. Let me give you a quick story. So my mom buys me these Nikes, and they didn't fit. They were kind of tight. We went back to the store. They didn't have my size for that particular shoe. So my mom says, just pick something else. I'm a kid. I'm just looking on the wall and just trying to decide, like, okay, what shoe do I like? And then my mom points to these. And my mom says, aren't those the shoes that one guy who can fly? And as soon as she said that, I'm like, fly? I didn't know nothing about Jordan, the Bulls. I was a little kid, but my mother was hip. My mother knew what was going on. She may not, she was an immigrant, but she understood what was going on. And it was just funny the way she said it. She said, the guy that can fly. And I said, well, those are the shoes I want right there. That's how I ended up with my very first pair of Jordans. Now, obviously, now I'm wearing the shoe. I wanted to start following this guy, who is Michael Jordan. And that's when I started to kind of start to read on him. And the only way we knew anything about the Bulls back in the day was whatever you read in the paper. And that's how I started to follow the Bulls. And I started, anytime we went to the store, I was busting out the magazines and trying to read whatever I can read. But for the most part, it was what were people wearing and what you were reading. And that was a pair that everybody was talking about. Reason being is in 1986, Jordan was wearing that particular shoe when they played the Boston Celtics. Now, Jordan broke his foot, in the beginning of his 2nd year. And everybody thought, okay, this rookie just came into the picture. His 2nd year, he's just going to take off, and then he breaks his foot. So people were like, man, that's a bummer. The Bulls are not going to make the playoffs. But nope, they were wrong. Jordan actually made it back before the end of the season, a few games, and then the Bulls barely made it into the playoffs. Actually, it was a last-minute shot. I'm not sure if it was by Jordan, but they won the final game of the season that actually got them into the playoffs. But that means they're the 8th seed. They got to play the number 1 seed, Boston Celtics. Now, playing the Celtics is what introduced Jordan to the rest of the world. Everybody knew that this guy was a special talent. But when they played the Celtics, Jordan just took it to them. And what am I talking about? Well, if you guys remember, Jordan holds the record for 63 points. Well, That's when it happened. Jordan dropped 63 points on the Boston Celtics. That is still a record to this day. If you look on the list, most points during a playoff game by one player, that's Michael Jordan with 63 points. Number 2 on that list is Elgin Baylor, and number 3 on that list is Charles Barkley. So what was Jordan wearing when he dropped 63 points? You're looking at it right there, all right? What's cool is I'm watching The Last Dance documentary, and they did focus a little bit on that, and you see in the footage that colorway. And it's cool because you get to see Danny Ainge guarding Jordan. You see Larry Bird guarding Jordan. And everybody remembers the famous quote that Larry Bird gave about Jordan afterwards. Larry Bird said, "I think that's just God disguised as Michael Jordan." So from that point on, people just knew that guy's going to be special, which of course skyrocketed his popularity. And at the same time, those shoes just became just a must-have for anybody who was a fan of this guy. I was lucky as a kid to own them. So for me, it was the beginnings of what you now see. And at the same time, it was also a beginning for the Bulls because they started to serve notice to the entire league that, hey, we're for real and we're here. Okay? Now, past 2 weeks, we're watching The Last Dance. Well, now when you ask me what's my thought about this shoe, it used to be beginnings, but now it's also the beginning and the ending. Strike it up. What the hell are you talking about? Well, when you watch The Last Dance tonight, episode 5 and episode 6, you're going to see that Jordan wore these shoes again. The final game that he played as a Chicago Bull at Madison Square Garden, he wore those shoes. He felt that maybe this might be his last time playing at Madison Square Garden, so he wanted to do something special. The same way he served notice, it's the same way he wanted to go out. He wore those shoes, but here's the problem. The shoes were too small, one size too small. And when you watch the documentary, you'll see he said his feet, they were bleeding. He takes the shoes off, and his sock was just soaked in blood. But he still managed to drop 42 points in that shoe at Madison Square Garden. Now, the playoff game where he dropped 63 points, that happened on April 20th, 1986. And then he wore that shoe as a Chicago Bull for the last time playing at Madison Square Garden on March 8th of 1998. He dropped 42 points. And you people were saying, man, if your feet were hurting, why didn't you take off the shoe? Well, superstition. He said he was just having too good of a game. He didn't want to take them off, but they were hurting him. You can believe that. So that's why I wanted to pull out this shoe, and I get to share a little bit more of my thoughts on it. The way I look at it, I kind of remember that's how this shoe was, very high, very I don't know, I want to say kind of like bulky around your ankle area. The leather is heavy. Now, the reason I say that is, you know, when the Shattered Backboards came out, this leather is super, super buttery. And you can even see the way the leather looks. I mean, it's super buttery. But then you look at a shoe like this, and it's just, you can just tell that leather, it's heavy. But that's the way the shoe was, in my opinion. This is how the shoe was originally. But it's gorgeous. And the cool thing that I also tell people about anytime you get a colorway called Chicago, anytime you see red, white, and black, automatic, that's the Chicago colorway. Colors of the Bulls, maybe before, that wasn't the thought that came into your head when you saw that combination. But ever since Jordan started playing for the Bulls, that anytime you see that combo, the first thing that comes to your head is Chicago. I mean, that's almost programmed in our head now. And that's one of the reasons why I love this shoe. Now, let me give you some numbers, some schematics. Retailed for $160. Now, this is the 2015 pair. These dropped on May 30th on 2015. Nope, I did not get these the day they dropped. And yes, I did pay retail. And how the hell did I do that? Well, let's go into the magic box here. Here's my receipt. Now, Nike Chicago was doing something special for the All-Star game back in 2016. And what they did was they made the 4th floor of Nike Chicago kind of a pop-up shop, and they were promoting their sneakers app. And so you had to reserve and like a ticket to get there. And I got lucky. I was able to reserve a ticket, and you get there and they were only letting in like maybe 20 to 25 people every hour for whatever reason. Nike, you guys are slick. So they had different shoes out at different times of the day. And of course, everybody at the time was going crazy for the OVO shoes because Nike was just dropping them at that time if you were one of the people that got in there. Now, I got lucky. I was able to grab a pair for one of my guys in my UBS sneaker group, one of the OVOs. But I remember we all walk in, all 20, 30 people, we walk in and you saw a wall full of sneakers and everybody just went like this. Whoa. I went straight to the sales guy and I said, do you guys have those in stock? And the guy goes, yeah. And I said, I saw these on the wall and I said, dude, I need those in a 10 or a 10.5. And he had a handheld. He says, we only got one pair left, 10.5. I said, dude, I want them. When people saw the guy bring out the shoes to me, then they said, wait a minute, we can buy those? And the guy's like, well, yeah, whatever's in stock. I got lucky. I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody else. I just opened my big ass mouth and I asked, hey, do you guys actually have those? Keep in mind, these dropped May 30th of 2015. There's my receipt. You see the date? February 11, 2016. I only paid retail. Okay? That's all I paid was retail. Now, who knew that this shoe was going to skyrocket in value? Who knew? If you go to StockX right now, okay, now this pair, that's a 10.5, okay? Retailed for $160. The highest offers that somebody is offering right now is $1,125. Somebody is willing to pay that much for that shoe. The last pair sold for $1,200, and the lowest asking price is $1,357. Nope, I'm not selling them. I'm telling you right now, I'm not selling them. As a matter of fact, there was a rumor that this shoe was supposed to drop this year during the All-Star game because it was here in Chicago, and there was a rumor that this shoe was going to drop and it didn't happen, so people were bummed out. I don't know if that's why the price jumped up, but as you can see, mine are still dead stock, have not been worn, haven't even been laced. Yeah, and they're going to stay like that. You guys know how I am. I don't undead stock shoes unless there's a special occasion. So as you can see, yeah, these shoes, they're going back into the box, and we will wear them when the time is right. But for now, they're just going to sit in the sneaker vault, and we'll see when we bust them out. Guys, thank you so much for checking out my channel. Thank you for letting me share this pair with you. There's my connection with this shoe, the beginning and the ending, and now you know why. Sentimental value, really, for me, because of my mom. So shout outs to my mom for always taking care of us, you know, always making sure all her kids look good. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, do it before I start crying like a baby, because yeah, I get sentimental when I talk about my mom. But that is the Chicago One. Thank you for checking out my channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys here next time. Make sure you check out The Last Dance, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.